friends, here we are once again, Logic Pro X, Sampling School Lesson 3. I am very, very excited. I hope you guys are too. Um, in the lobby, there is more than enough watered down fruit punch and sugar cookies for everybody. Please enjoy. Today we will be talking about drum breaks, and I'll show you my techniques when I use drum breaks, which is a lot. Um, Drum breaks are used quite a bit. It's a form of sampling. If you use a drum break, you are sampling initially. Because I know some people will use drum breaks and compose original compositions on top of them. I know people use drum breaks and add samples on top of them. I know people chop up drums and layer them and cut them and crunch them and distort them and bring them down to 8 bits and mangle them in any way they seem fit for their composition. Uh, so drum breaks, if you're using drum breaks, you're sampling. So it falls into the sampling school curriculum, and today that's what we're talking about. Um, 9 times out of 10, when I import a drum break inside of Logic, I will have to time stretch it to fit the BPM I want to work with. My default BPM is 95. Uh, with drum breaks, it's a lot of give and take because you are dealing with a live drummer whose timing isn't on the 1 and the 2. It's going to fall. It's going to be delayed or sped up most of the time on your main notes, on your 1s and your 3s. So if I'm explaining that correctly, it's original. It's human timing. It's not computerized timing. So it's not in sync and tight. But I will show you how to get the drum break tight if you're one of those people who like, their drums super duper tight. With the flex feature, with the flex time feature inside of Logic, I'll show you how to achieve that as well. There's a plane flying overhead of me. Uh, Excuse me if you hear it. Anyway, we'll get right into it. So my default BPM is 95. So I'll go ahead and stretch it out. And we talked about time stretching in the last lesson. And if you're watching this lesson and you didn't watch the last one, the way to stretch out your loops is by holding the Option key. And you'll see this will be zoomed in so you can see it. But when you hold the Option key towards the end of the file, I don't know if those are WAV files or speakers. I call them speakers, but 2 speakers will show up, and it will allow you to stretch the audio however you want to stretch it. So we're going to go ahead and stretch it to the end of the loop point. It's going to analyze it because it's stretching it out, and I'll go ahead and play it. Now, that is 95 BPMs. I think it's around 120 originally. I'll go ahead and back out so you can see the original BPMs. I should have did that at first, but I'll go ahead and show you where it started at and to where I have it at now. Let's go. Sugar, sugar. So I went ahead and I made that 95 BPMs. Whoa, I gotta stretch it out a little bit more. That's my bad. Let's go. Sugar, sugar. All right, now we have a perfect loop. Now, what I was talking to you guys about previously is the actual timing of the break. And I always urge you guys to watch the video in full screen and in 1080 so you can see it exactly how I see it on the screen. So, and I'll make sure to zoom in using the mouse cursor so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Now, you see the 1 here, okay? And just by looking at the audio, I can tell where the snare is going to hit, which is right here. But you see that it's off from where the snare, I don't want to say should hit, but what would be the Logic's way of telling you your where the snare would hit if you were to quantize it perfectly. It would tell you where the snare would hit at right here at 1 2. So to be able to move that, Logic has a flex feature that allows you to move the audio. Now you can get really extreme with it. You do that at your own discretion. I'll show you how to do it. There's no correct way when we're talking about music. That's the beautiful thing about music. You can do whatever you want, but I'll show you the correct way to get a drum break tight by quantizing standards, if that makes sense. So again, you'll hit the flex option. You'll select flex mode, and you are going to go down to monophonic. And it's going to analyze the audio. And you'll see transient markers. They're light gray. You'll see transient markers where the transients hit at. And where these transient markers are at in your audio file, the flex feature allows you to move them. So I'll take this one for instance, which is our snare, and I'll drag it like so. I believe this is a hi-hat. I'll drag it like so. I think this is another kick. I'll drag it like so. Now you'll hear there won't be too much difference. I'll go ahead and time stretch a little bit more, and you know when you'll have it correct because it'll lock in. So it'll lock into the Logic ticks. Okay, so we'll do half of it, and that's a tighter drum break for you guys that want, tighter, sampled drums in your breaks. And I'm gonna cut half of this off for the sake of the video. I'll only use half of it. It's another airplane. I'm in California, and a lot of airplanes are flying around. Okay, so we're only going to do a fourth of the actual loop. So this is what we're going to work with. So you got a tight drum break. Now, what I was explaining to you that you can get really extreme with it, and I don't want to say I don't recommend this if it works for your production. More power to you. But you can actually stretch this way past where it should be. Now this is the snare. Now you hear a difference in the audio because you'll actually hear the stretching of the audio because it's pulled back way far back to where it's supposed to be at. And I'll go ahead and play it. And you can move all of these audio files wherever a transient is, you'll be able to move it. That actually sounds kind of dope, right? Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put everything back. Okay, now another way to use drum breaks is to chop them up, and we went over this in the last video as well, but we'll go over it again. We already have the flex feature highlighted, so we're going to go down to flex slicing. Excuse me. Shit, flex slicing. Okay, hopefully it's sliced up. I thought I would see it move, but anyway, so go down to flex slicing and control click, slice at transient markers. Now you have the actual drum notes and the hits sliced up. So you can highlight all of these, hit Control E. Like I said in the last video, watch the last video so you can see a lot of what we're going over here on this video, but I'll explain it again. When you hit Control E, what you're doing is making an EXS sampler with your audio files, and the options are create zones from regions, EXX instrument name, which is the name of the actual break, and your trigger note range, and it'll also let you know right here in the little comment box, I guess, how many zones you're using. So we're using 8. It's cut into 8 parts, so you have 8 zones. So just look at zones as how many different audio parts. So you go ahead and click OK. It'll analyze the audio, and we can go ahead and mute this. And since it's continuous zones, it will play the drum break continuously, just like the audio file, but now it's MIDI. But the cool thing about it being MIDI is if you double click in here, your piano roll will come up. And starting from C2, you can actually move the notes around and create your own composition from the drum breaks. I don't have my MIDI controller here, but you'll get what I mean. And the cool thing about doing it, chopping the breaks up and creating your own original composition with the drum breaks is your what I want to say, your possibilities are endless with the drum breaks. Logic allows you to quantize it and add swing on it, and it is now MIDI. So if you were to have a program like Easy Drummer that produces MIDI notes, you would be able to use those MIDI notes and create your own sounding drums with whatever drum kit you decide to use based on where the kick and the snare is on the actual MIDI notes you're using. And we'll get into that because that's really, really dope. And I feel like that's something that we should talk about. But, making it MIDI, your possibilities are endless. And that's pretty much it. If this video was really, really choppy and jumpy, I apologize. I kind of did this on a whim, and I wanted to do it while it was on my mind. I didn't want to put it off. But with what I showed you today, I think that will give you a clear understanding of how to manipulate drum breaks. I'm not saying this is all the ways to do it. If you have something you want to share that you think is dope and how you use drum breaks and how you, get creative with them, let me know. If you have any ideas for videos, let me know. But I will make it an effort to show you some more in-depth ways of using the drum breaks with external MIDI notes, because you can get some really, really crazy combinations out of them. Because a lot of the times when you use those stock drum sounds, they aren't dope. So imagine using a dope drum fill with the amen break, or the possibilities are endless. So this way, the ways I showed you is just I want to say maybe a starting point to using drums in your production. Quantizing the actual notes will make it easier for those who like to layer drum breaks, who make pop music where it's not so lazy and it's not so, and the swing is not so much. You can get them tighter and use the drum breaks in your composition. So this isn't just for hip hop guys. Now for the hip hop guys, I don't really do a lot of quantizing of the actual audio because I like the swing on the drums. That's why I sample them. If I want them to be tight, I can play them, or I would chop them up and play them like so. So I hope you guys learned something. Can pull anything from this, and I apologize again if the video was choppy. I am doing it on the whim. I'm not going to say kind of doing it on the whim, but I hope you guys enjoy it. And look out for the next video. Rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace.